Welcome again to Ancient Tales for Today. Well, we've been going through this book, and in our last lesson, we talked about a mother, and she had no son. Now, if you have no son, you pray. So she prayed. She said, "God, give me a son." It was an interesting story. Well, the son has grown up. He is no longer a child. He is the go-to person. Go-to? That's a term we use in English that means everybody goes to that person for solutions to their problems. In today's lesson, number 82, they go and want a king. Stay by for this story.
Story 82, Wanting a King. The ancient tales tell us that it was Israel's God who led the people from Egypt to the Promised Land. Their God also gave them the country to live in and defended them against their enemies. But the people still were not happy. They looked around at the other nations and saw that they all had kings. They decided they wanted a king too. They did not want to be under heaven's leadership. They wanted an earthly king. Can you imagine people saying that to their divine leader? It was very insulting to heaven. But they were allowed to have what they wanted. Samuel was getting old. He had put his 2 sons in charge to be judges for the people. But they were not like their father. They accepted bribes and did not do what was right. So the people came to Samuel and demanded a king. Samuel asked heaven for an answer. "It is not you they are rejecting, but me," he was told. Samuel warned the people that a king would force their sons to be soldiers in his army. He would demand that their daughters serve in his palaces. He would take away their best land and give it to his friends. In the end, the king would make them his slaves. The people listened to the warning and said, in spite of that, we still want a king." So, in the end, they were allowed to set up a kingdom with kings ruling from that time on. Saul was chosen as the first king, and we will see what happened to him later. It's interesting to me that even though they were warned about the problems they would have with the king, the people still wanted to have one. It shows how we want to be like others around us, and we don't think about the consequences.
Well, we've been telling in the ancient tales that it was Israel's God who led the people from Egypt to the Promised Land. 从埃及带他们到应许之地. Now, I think it's very important at the very beginning of this lesson to keep in mind it was God who led them all the way. For instance, it was their God who gave them the country to live in. Where are you going to live? But God had already prepared that. So he gave them a country, 一个国度, okay? And he defended them against their enemies. 抵挡他们的敌人, okay? Defended them against their enemies. I guess maybe this is human nature. Somehow we tend to be dissatisfied dissatisfied, 不满意. And so the people were still not happy. They weren't happy. You see, what happened was they started looking around at the other nations. They looked here and they looked there. They looked at 其他的国家, and they saw that they all had kings. Well, maybe it was curiosity or just envious, 羡慕. I don't know. So they came to Samuel, who's the go-to person. He's the leader. Actually, God is the leader. And they decided that they wanted a king. So, what are they saying? They wanted a king. They were saying, hey, they didn't want to be under heaven's leadership. What does that mean? 他不要再听天上的领导. Okay? They wanted an earthly king. Now, this seems interesting. They wanted an earthly king. Why in the world, if the great God of the universe, this is the great God of the universe, why in the world would you, I mean, he gave them everything they wanted, but they wanted more. They wanted an earthly king. This is hard to imagine. In fact, can you imagine people saying to their divine leader, okay, their divine leader, 这个神圣的领导, I mean, this is God. They're saying to God, oh, we don't want you. No way. It was very insulting, 很羞辱天国, 很羞辱他们的神. Now, if God were like us, what would you expect God do? Oh, you naughty children, and maybe he'd spank them or something and try to teach them a lesson. But interestingly enough, God allowed them to have what they wanted. They wanted a king. They wanted a king. Now, true, this little boy has grown up. Samuel, the go-to person in Israel, he was getting old. He was no longer a young man. He had put his two sons in charge to be judges for the people. Now, this is natural. Samuel is the go-to person. He is the leader. He is old. He has two sons, and the two sons are grown men now. They are priests. 他们也是祭司. So he puts them in charge, 让他负责管理 as judges. Judges. Judges were, in those days, a judge was not what we call them now. A judge was actually a leader. And so he appointed them as leaders of the people. But they were not like their father. They were not like their father. We have a saying, like father, like son. Well, in this case, it was not like father, like son. The father was very good, but the sons were not good. They accepted bribes. 接受这个贿赂. Do you know what a bribe is? A bribe is something you buy a decision. In other words, people gave them money, and the judge or the leader said, well, okay. And so he told them what they wanted to hear. They accepted bribes, and they did not do what was right. They didn't do what was right. So what's going to happen? They want a king. So the people came to Samuel. Probably it was because the sons were so bad and not like Samuel. And then they liked the idea of having a king. Whoa, look at that, a king. Huh, we can have a king. He fights for us and does all these wonderful things. So there's probably more than one reason. You have bad sons and they're not doing a good job. Samuel is old. So when you put all these things together, and then they get all this, I think it's curiosity, 好奇 or 羡慕. And they look at all these kings and I just want to have king. We want a king. We want a king. So that's what they asked for. And God said, well, okay. Now, we're going to stop right here, and we're going to take a little time for some light on our path. Okay, now for some light on our path. We're going to look at 1 Samuel 8, 19 and 20.
经文是在撒母耳记上8章19节20节。
Here it says, but the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us, and to go before us, and to fight our battles.
撒母耳记上8章19节20节，经文这样说：百姓竟不肯听撒母耳的话，说：不然，我们定要一个王治理我们，使我们像列国一样，有王治理我们，统领我们，为我们征战。
Okay, now I want to ask you, have you ever heard of the saying, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence?
听过，西方的人会说，什么？隔壁的草坪比自己家的院子里的草坪漂亮，对不
Yes,
对？
that's true.
那中国人也有一句话，就是说，隔壁的，邻居家做的饭比自己家做的好吃，或者是还有人就是说，这山望着那山高，也就是说一种人不能够自我满足，觉得自己的东西总是不好的。
Right. So this is the problem, and this is the problem that they had in Samuel's time. God was the leader of the people of Israel, but they were not happy with God. 奇怪啊，他们不满意上帝的带领，and they wanted a real king. And so Samuel had to tell, God had to tell Samuel, said, they have not rejected you.
他们是
They have
拒绝
rejected
我，
me.
对。
That's right. Now, Samuel had a good relationship with God. He had a good relationship with heaven. So, when they came and said, "We want a king, we want a king." Okay, well, I said, okay, let me talk to God about this. And you know what God said? Here's what God said. It is not you that they are rejecting, but it is me, he was told. So you see what's happening? The people are rejecting God. They are not rejecting Samuel. Samuel, I think it's natural. Samuel felt, they're rejecting me. They don't listen to my sons. They don't want us. So, you can understand why he felt it's like I'm being rejected. 他们不接受我们呢。Samuel warned the people that a king would force their sons to be soldiers in his army. So Samuel did his part. He warned them. He said, your people would be forced. A king would force the boys, the men, to become soldiers. 要参军呢，强迫他们参军。Woo. In the army, 军队, huh? That doesn't sound good. Then he said he would demand. Demand is a strong word. You can translate it 要求, but 要求 is just ask. Demand 是强迫. He would demand that their daughters, 他们的女孩子们, would serve in his palaces. 他的宫殿要在那边服务。不但是如此, he would take away their best land and give it to his friends. 你自己的地，他会这个夺去，抢走 and give it to his friends. So you can imagine the people are listening. And in the end, the king would make them his slaves. Okay? 强迫他们，使他们做他的奴隶。The people listened to the warning and said, in spite, 尽管是这样, we still want a king. I can imagine, we want a king, we want a king, we want a king. So, in the end, they were allowed to set up a kingdom. 上帝容许他们立一个国度 with kings ruling from that time on. So, 从那时候以来，他们都会有王啊。And to rule 就是统治. So, kings are now going to be rulers. Saul was chosen as the first king. And we will see what happened to him later. I can assure you that God always chooses the best. He helped Samuel choose the best. Saul, this was the name of the first king. And he didn't turn out so well. And we will see what happened to him later on. It's interesting to me that even though they were warned about the problems that would be caused by having a king, the people still wanted to have one. Let's say that again. It's interesting to me, it really is interesting to me, that with all the warnings about all the problems by having a king, the people still wanted to have a king. Is that human nature? Is it human nature, 我们的本性, to want something that's not good for us? In fact, you think about it. Little children, you tell them no, and they immediately go do it. And so you warn them, but you warn them, and still people want to do it. Well, it also shows us something else. We want to be like others around us. Have you noticed how that is? The whole advertising 广告 industry is built on that. Hey, smart people, beautiful people, intelligent people, they are doing it. Why aren't you? And so people sort of, what do? They sort of say, oh, I want to be like others. I want to be like them. I want to be like the next guy over. 我们很喜欢看身旁的人，身边的人啊。And we don't think about the consequences. We just want to be like them. 我们不会想到这个后果。This is human nature. This is the sad thing about human nature. And I'm sure God is not happy when he sees us making all these mistakes. Well, let's stay by now for some words you need to know. Stay by. And now for some words you need to know. Now, they wanted a king, and so they wanted, they got a king. And we will tell about all the problems they had with their first kings. But first of all, in this lesson, we would like to look at the word defended.
Defended 是说抵挡、抵抗。
Okay, 抵抗，抵挡，看它的上下文，看它用在什么地方。Okay, and to insult or insulting.
Insulting 是说羞辱。
羞辱。To insult heaven, to insult the God of heaven. Okay, and then bribes. I'm not sure that this is right. I looked up and I said 贿赂, but I don't know what a bribe is. Do you know what a bribe is?
也是贿赂的意思吧，就是说，做一些事情给他，他会给你好处，是吧？
Yeah. To me, this is not a good thing to do. Yeah. Okay. Bribe, to bribe someone else. Now, the next one is to demand.
要求。
Okay, but sometimes I wonder whether 要求 is a good translation. It's 强烈的要求。If you request,
比较温和的。
yeah. If you demand, 就是你一定要给我的。So how do you say that in Chinese?
也是说要求，但是就是意思就是有些强迫的性质。
Yep, that's true. That's right. Okay, and then looks like we only have time for one more. In spite of.
In spite of.
Okay, in spite
虽然
of. 虽然 sometimes also 尽管
尽管对。
Okay, in spite of. Sometimes we say despite. Despite 尽管 or 虽然. Well, looks like we have run out of time. Hope that you will continue your study of words we need to know. Welcome back. Well, we've seen in today's story, human nature is like this. We want to be like the people around us. The people wanted a king. God told Samuel, give him a king. I'll help you in the choice. Well, that's only part of the story. And now we're going to look at some of the sad things that happened by having a king. Now, in our next story, we will come to reminders. Do you ever ask somebody to remind you to do something? Well, next lesson is all about reminders. I hope you will join us then.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.